I want to dispel a big myth about creativity, and that is there are going to be ideal conditions for you. The fact of the matter is that's just not the case. And what do I mean by this? Well, let's take an example of like a writer. A writer may want to, sit down over the course of one weekend, uninterrupted, or perhaps a week, and just go ahead and write with no disruptions whatsoever, right? Or let's say, a musician was going to do that, where they're going to take like 2 weeks off and they're going to go in the studio, whatever, and just go and create music. And the problem is life just doesn't work like that. Life is full of disruptions. Life is full of happenstance, both positive and negative, right? And so what we must do, instead of trying to create these ideal conditions, which ultimately the reason why it's a bad thing is because then it prevents us from moving forward, right? We feel like if we don't have these ideal conditions, if we haven't met these requirements that we've created in our minds, then essentially we don't allow ourselves to be creative. When what we must embrace is being creative in the day-to-day amidst the unideal conditions, right? You might work a 9 to 5, and so it's like, okay, cool. That's not an ideal condition for your creativity, but you're gonna have to get around that. Boom, okay, 5 o'clock hits, you've eaten dinner, you've settled down, it's 6 o'clock now, and you're ready to write. But all of a sudden, work calls, or perhaps a friend needing a favor desperately, right? Because they're in trouble or whatever. And it's like, these are all the things that we as artists have to contend with. And if you struggle against them, then it will create frustration and it will block your creativity. But if you just learn to embrace that this is just part of it, part of life, that it's okay, and when those disruptions come, you will have a much easier time dealing with them and thus returning back to your creativity. Like you will start to see the pockets of time that you do have, however long, an hour a day, even if it's that, you will be able to put that time in and be creative because you will understand why, while not ideal, this is what you're given and you're going to take advantage of that. You will start to see things as opportunity as opposed to negatives, right? And yes, we would all want better conditions, right? Like, I would love to just be a full-time writer, let's say, or a full-time filmmaker, and maybe one day I will get there. But right now, in order for me to, have a life, right, I got to pay the bills, and that requires a 9 to 5 job. So just work within the parameters that you have, and life will be much easier.